Marc Marquez, the relentless hurricane of MotoGP 2025. It's not what if. It's more like thank God he crashed. Because if he didn't, he would have eaten Fabio Quartararo alive under braking. He would have smoked Alex Marquez so hard that Alex himself would start questioning if he really belonged here, side by side, against his own blood, the one and only King Marc Marquez. And maybe, just maybe, he would have ditched Pecco Bagnaia at the very same corner he dominated last year, making Bagnaia rethink if his 2 world titles were anything more than jokes in front of the hurricane wearing number 93. Yes, he was all in for that Jerez Grand Prix. And everyone is so quick to label it overconfidence. But me, I see something else. I see the Marc Marquez, the one who starves for victory, every race, every lap, every corner, every fall. The hunger never ends. Like a shark who smells blood from miles away, Marc smells podiums in every opportunity. It's not a race for him anymore. It's a hunt. Win bigger. Crash, rise, and hunt again. I have never seen him give up after a crash where he could still see a ray of hope. He grips that hope not just with his hands, but with every mechanical muscle of the machine underneath him, and he goes for war again, a battle even more brutal than before. They call it overconfidence. After 6 world titles? After surviving a crash that could have ended his life in 2020? You think it's overconfidence? No. It's called purpose. I always see him, and I always refer to him as the Ayrton Senna of MotoGP. Because no quote defines Marc Marquez more than Senna's legendary words. If you no longer go for a gap that exists, you are no longer a racing driver. Every crash, every mistake, every move that you second guess, it's because it was Marc Marquez. Because if it wasn't him, you wouldn't even be talking about it. There are some very rare people in this universe who give you butterflies even when you're not in a relationship. Marc Marquez is one of them. When he passes you on track, it's not just speed, it's spellbinding. You think you can beat him. You dare to believe it. But that belief, that's the biggest trap of all. It's an illusion. If you passed Marc Marquez, it wasn't your talent. It wasn't your genius. It was because he let you. He was playing with you. And you can't even smile after beating him because deep down you know he will bite back when you are at your weakest. And it will hurt more than any crash ever could. That's Marc Marquez. I have seen Valentino Rossi. I have seen Jorge Lorenzo. I have seen Casey Stoner. I have seen Dani Pedrosa. I have seen Andrea Dovizioso too. But make no mistake, Marc Marquez is a piece of everyone and more. He is so precious to MotoGP. And I wish people would understand one thing. If you take him out of the grid, yes, there will still be races, but the soul, the battles, the gladiator spirit, it won't ever be the same again. Because when Marc Marquez is on track, everything feels electric. The critics roar after Jerez, and yet after Jerez, the same song plays, the same words from the same mouths. Marc Marquez ragged and rattled. He risks too much. He trips himself up. Yes, Marc crashed. Yes, he threw away 25 golden points. And yes, it hurts. But the way these so-called analysts talk about it, you'd think Marc lost his mind out there. Michael Laverty for TNT Sports said, he was looking more ragged than usual. They said he got rattled in his early battle with Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia. They said he didn't look composed. They pointed out turn 6, how the bike was moving, how he overloaded the front. They said he didn't need to push like that at that stage of the race. But let me ask you, if he didn't push, would it even be Marc Marquez? Marc Marquez has 2 gears, attack or attack harder, mistake or identity. They say Marc made unforced errors. They say twice now, at Cota and at Jerez, he cracked. But let's be clear, crashing while hunting the absolute limit is not failure, it's identity. This is the man who won 6 world titles by doing exactly this. This is the man who redefined how motorcycles could be ridden, saving crashes that were physically impossible before he showed up. The same critics who worshipped him for pushing boundaries now condemn him for it. How fickle is memory? How short-lived is loyalty? Pressure? Some said Marc couldn't handle the pressure at Jerez. Former world champion Sylvain Guintoli said, "There was a very high chance of winning. It seems when there's expectation, he makes mistakes. That different pressure, he didn't cope too well." Again, it's easy to say that, but pressure isn't new to Marc Marquez. Pressure is the air he breathes. Expectation is the blood running through his veins. You think because the whole world watched, he crumbled? No. He crashed because he lives in a dimension where racing on the edge is the only way forward. He crashed because he wanted to dominate, not survive. You can't put a tiger in a cage and then criticize it for dreaming about the hunt. Reality check. Marc versus the grid. And despite all this, despite the crash, guess what? Marc Marquez is still just 1 point behind his brother Alex in the standings. Bagnaia, the two-time champion, is 20 points away. Marc has 5 sprint wins and 3 race wins already this season. He rides the factory Ducati. He is stronger at every left-hand track, and when the opportunity exists, he goes for it. Always. You can criticize the style, but you can't deny the outcome. This isn't a washed-up legend. This is still the most dangerous man on 2 wheels. The spirit that refuses to die. And after all the criticism, even the doubters admit, we know Marc doesn't give up and he doesn't like to be second. Exactly. Marc Marquez doesn't know how to give up. It's not in his DNA. When he fell in Jerez, he didn't walk back to the paddock sulking. He didn't blame the bike or the tires or the world. He stood there, faced the loss, and already began preparing for Le Mans. Because he knows the sun will rise again. No matter how dark the night, no matter how brutal the storm. And when it does, Marc Marquez will be there, standing tall, hunting again. Understand before it's too late. I wish more people would realize this before it's too late. Before he retires, before we lose the greatest gladiator MotoGP has ever seen. Marc Marquez is not perfect, far from it. But it's in his imperfections, the crashes, the mistakes, the battles, that he becomes something transcendent. He is not a machine. He is art. He is the clash between chaos and genius. When he races, you don't just watch a rider. You watch the spirit of competition itself. So criticize him if you want. Analyze him, doubt him, fear him. But never forget, you are watching something truly irreplaceable. Because when Marc Marquez leaves MotoGP, the racing will go on. The stories will go on. But the magic, the electric tension, the feeling that anything, absolutely anything, can happen, that will go with him. And that's why, no matter what happens at Le Mans, at Mugello, or at any track this season, I will always stand with Marc Marquez, the shark, the hurricane, the spirit of MotoGP. Long live the king. The dark swallowed the others. He became the dark.